Welcome to The Deep Dive, the show that takes a complex stack of source material and gives you the vital shortcuts, ensuring you walk away truly well-informed. Today, we are focusing our analytical lens on a figure who often kind of remains in the background, yet who is arguably the most crucial anchor in the entire cosmic narrative. We're talking about the elegant, quiet force draped in shadow and silk.
We're grounding ourselves today in the philosophy of Tuxedo Mask, Mamoru Chiba. In a universe that is just so defined by these radiant planetary transformations and these explosive color-coded power-up, he presents this really profound paradox.
Right, he's not loud.
Not at all. His strength is measured in presence and timing and in this just unyielding capacity to uplift others.
And that is our central mission for this deep dive, extracting that quiet philosophy of balance he embodies. He's so often dismissed, the boyfriend.
The omega throws roses.
Exact. But the sources paint a far, far deeper picture. He is the rose thrown into battle, fragile yet armed with thorns, beautiful yet unyielding. He really stands as a symbol of support, embodying a kind of strength that is about perseverance and rest, not raw destruction.
And to really understand him, you have to step into this idea that his entire existence is described as a dream slipping between the past and the future. He functions as the emotional, the earthly ballast for all the high-flying celestial drama that's happening around him.
So we need to look past the top hat and the cape.
We do. We need to look beyond the surface elegance and understand that the core of his power is, it's courage and a kind of conscious, deliberate presence.
Absolutely. And to truly appreciate the weight of his role, I think we have to start literally at the beginning. I mean, with his name, his heritage, and the destiny that's just woven into his civilian identity from day one. Let's dive into what we're calling the Earth's living heart.
It's the perfect place to start. And we begin with the name itself. Mamoru Chiba. It's shockingly declarative when you break it down.
Okay, so let's break it down. Mamoru.
Mamoru means, very simply, to protect or to guard. It's Lowe's. There's really no subtext there. His entire function is laid out in his given name from the moment he is born. He is destined to be a guardian.
That's pretty straightforward for a hero, sure, but it's the surname, Chiba. That's where you've said the connection to the cosmic plot really gets established. How does that name ground him so firmly to the planet itself?
Well, this is where the source material gets so beautifully specific. The word Chiba is composed of two kanji characters. You have Chi, which translates directly to earth or ground.
Okay, so that's the planet.
That's the planet. And then you have Ba, which means place or field. So when you put it together, his full name, Mamoru Chiba, is this explicit declaration, protector of Earth's plate, or, more simple, protector of Earth.
Wow. So it's not just a title he earns through his heroic acts.
Not at all. It is the fundamental state of his being. It binds him as the sovereign protector of the planet itself in the same way the queen is bound to the moon.
That's a huge elevation of his status. I mean, it confirms he's a planetary entity, not just a human who happens to get involved in all the fighting.
He is the Earth's will personified.
But the sources also connect him to the sun, which feels a little counterintuitive for a figure so linked to the moon and to shadows. We're told he was born on August 3rd, which makes him a Leo.
And this solar connection is one of the most brilliant symbolic contradictions in his entire character design. It seems odd at first, but think about it. Leo is ruled by the sun.
Right.
And if you think cosmically, what do the Sailor Guardians represent? They're the planets, and they are all orbiting the sun. What is the sun's actual role in a solar system?
It's the center. It provides light, gravity, life.
It's the central, immovable star that gives light, life, and gravity to everything that revolves around it. It holds the entire system together.
So rather than fighting with the light, like Sailor Moon does, he is the central source of stable light and energy. He's what allows the planets, the guardians, to perform their divine duties without, drifting off course. He's their anchor.
Precisely. That's a perfect word for it. His Leo attribute, loyalty, nobility, a really innate protector instinct. These are not just arbitrary personality traits somebody picked out of a book. They are his celestial destiny, and they align perfectly with his sovereign function as the future King Endymion.
He's the steadfast heart around which all this chaotic, brilliant action revolves.
He has to be.
And this brings us right to the mythological weight he carries, the name of his past self, Endymion. For anyone listening who might not be familiar with the classical source material, how does the Greek myth of Endymion just perfectly foreshadow Mamoru's fate?
Oh, the story it's profound and almost heartbreakingly relevant to his entire arc. In the myth, Endymion was a mortal man. Depending on the version you read, he was a beautiful shepherd or a hunter or sometimes even a king.
And he was loved by Selene, the Titan goddess of the moon.
Yes, and their love, it transcended the natural barrier between the mortal and the divine. It was this impossible connection.
But of course, their love couldn't endure the ravages of time and mortality, right? That's the classic tragedy. Selene had to petition Zeus.
She did. She couldn't bear the thought of him aging and dying. So she asked Zeus to grant him eternal youth. And Zeus, he grants it, but with a condition. The gift of immortality was given by plunging him into an eternal slumber.
So he lives forever, but he's never truly awake.
Exactly. The consequence of his immortality was being perpetually suspended in a dream state, usually hidden away within a cave on Mount Latmos. And every single night, Selene would visit him, watching over him in his stillness, preserving their love in this kind of suspended energy.
Okay, let's connect that directly to Mamoru and Princess Serena. It sounds like a perfect metaphor for reincarnation itself. It's a love story that is constantly hitting the pause button, just waiting for the right moment.
It is an exact parallel for their eternal bond. Mamoru's soul, as Prince Endymion, is perpetually suspended between life, dream, and reincarnation. His entire life in the present day is marked by these visions, these prophetic dreams, the haunting pull of a past he can't consciously grasp.
He is the dream lover.
He is the dream lover, always slightly out of sync with current reality, constantly seeking the celestial light serenity that is watching over him. The Endymion myth validates the cosmic rules of their love. It's eternal, but it must be perpetually suspended or guarded against the natural order of time.
So his name defines his duty to the earth, his astrological sign defines his role as the anchor for the solar system, and his mythological heritage defines the specific, suspended, dreaming nature of his love and his death. That is an incredibly dense foundation for one character.
It really is. It shows that his entire existence is designed to be the bedrock. His fate is intrinsically tied to the celestial world above him, but he must always, always remain grounded, both literally and spiritually on the earth.
And this idea of grounding leads us directly to the source of his actual power, which brings us to section 2, the golden crystal and the vessel of Earth's force. We've established the silver crystal belongs to the moon kingdom. What is the fundamental difference in purpose between the silver and...
The distinction is crucial, and it moves way beyond just simple color. The silver crystal, as we know, embodies divine light, purity, and the emotional and celestial bonds of the cosmos. It's the source of, incredible magical energy in life.
The power of...
Exact. The golden crystal is the Earth's spiritual counterpoint. It represents the vital essence of the planet, dreams, its spirit, its inner strength, and the raw generating power of the planet's life force.
So if the silver crystal is the light of the moon, the golden crystal is the enduring heart of the Earth's geology and its spirituality, all combined in...
Precisely. It is the grounding force. But what makes his power truly unique, and I think philosophically profound, is the location of this crystal. The source material is unequivocal about it. The golden crystal is not an external artifact he grabs or wields.
He doesn't go on a quest for it.
No, it resides within Mamoru himself, deep within his heart.
Wait, okay. If the silver crystal resides within Usagi, then both sovereigns carry the weight of their respective kingdoms internally. That makes sense. But in Mamoru's case, if his power is the vital essence of Earth, does this mean there's a physical limitation to how much damage sustained before it compromises the planet's actual integrity?
That is the precise implication and, honestly, the genius of how the source material sets this up. This one detail transforms him from being merely a protector of the Earth into the living vessel for Earth's very life force and soul.
So if he is harmed, the Earth is harmed.
If he's harmed, the Earth is harmed. If his spirit is crushed, the dreams of humanity are crushed. His heart is the Earth's core essence made flesh. There is no separation.
This intense internal connection must require a corresponding spiritual domain to safeguard that, right? It can't just be rattling around inside him.
It does. And that brings us to the sacred realm of Elysian.
Elysian.
Elysian was the capital of the Golden Kingdom on Earth, ruled by Prince Endymion in the past. And its name, of course, is derived from the Elysian fields of Greek mythology, a paradise reserved for heroes and
a heaven on earth.
Literally. Elysian is the sacred realm hidden within the heart of the Earth, and it's described as the place that preserves the planet's purity and all of its dreams.
So, while Endymion ruled the physical Golden Kingdom on the surface, the true source of power and spiritual integrity resided beneath, protected by the high priest Helios.
Correct. Helios, the high priest of Elysian, is the spiritual guardian of the crystal's sanctity. He is literally the custodian of humanity's dream. In the story, Helios affirms Mamoru as the true and only owner of the golden crystal, and he refers to him as his lord.
So there's a dual rulership.
Yes, this establishes a dual rulership. Helios tends to the ethereal dream-based spiritual health of Earth, while Mamoru embodies the physical waking power. They are two halves of the Earth's complete guardian.
That distinction between the spiritual custodian and the physical vessel is fascinating. And it's why Helios needed Mamoru to awaken his true power during the dream arc. Speaking of which, the physical consequences of this internal bonding become, well, painfully evident during that arc when Queen Nehelenia casts a very specific curse.
Yes, the curse targets Mamoru direct. It causes him these sharp, debilitating chest pains. This wasn't just a standard magical attack. It was an attack on the Earth heart made manifest in his body.
It's a direct assault on the planet's.
It is. And the moment Nehelenia captures the golden crystal, temporarily severing it from his being, Mamoru begins to physically waste away. He gets sick, a sickness that mirrors the darkening of the Earth itself.
It's such a powerful, dramatic device. It proves the absolute intimacy of their connection. His suffering is the planet's suffering. If his life force is drained, the planet itself begins to lose its stability and its capacity for dreaming.
It gives his character a weight that is so far beyond his combat ability. You know, he's not just fighting for his girlfriend, he's literally fighting for the geopolitical and spiritual survival of the entire planet. And it's all anchored within his own physical vulnerability.
We've established his destiny and his inherent power, but everything we see in the present day, the fragmentation, the struggle, the mass, it all stems from this cataclysmic past. So let's shift our focus now to Section 3, the tragedy and the cycle of destiny.
The tragedy is set, of course, during the age of the Silver Millennium, the original utopia. The cosmos was structured with a very distinct separation. You had the Moon Kingdom, which was divine, peaceful, and eternal.
And then you had Earth, which was wild, passionate, human, and mortal. Very different.
Completely different. The sources really emphasize that Prince Endymion was the prince of the human world. He carried the raw passion and the vitality of his people, while Princess Serenity was the embodiment of lunar grace and a kind of divine detachment.
And their love was the ultimate transgression against cosmic law. The moon and Earth were meant to remain apart. Their union was forbidden, yet their bond became the primary catalyst for the fall of not one, but two.
It did. And the sources described their love not just as a breach of law, but as a superior force. It was called the rhythm of creation itself.
Help us elaborate on that a bit. Why was their love deemed superior to cosmic law? What did it represent?
Because they completed the universe. The moon provided the light, the serenity, the emotional depth, but the earth provided the soil, the passion, the grounded strength. Their union represented the necessary integration of the mortal and the eternal, the physical and the spiritual.
So they were a unified rhythm that was needed for universal health, despite the established rules forbidding.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Their love wasn't a mistake. It was an evolution that the existing order wasn't ready for.
This rhythm, however, was violently interrupted by envy and dark. And that brings us to Beryl.
Queen Beryl, an Earth noble, was driven by this consuming, selfish obsession with Endymion. And when he rejected her love in favor of the divine serenity, her despair quickly curdled into this profound envy and rage.
And this emotional vulnerability made her the perfect conduit for the dark entity known as Metalia.
The perfect vessel for dark. Metalia, this ancient, destructive force, used Beryl's emotional pain to corrupt the populace of the Earth Kingdom. It convinced them that the Moon Kingdom was hoarding power and immortality that they deserved.
It preyed on their mortal fears.
It did. Beryl led these corrupted forces in a brutal, ill-fated war against the peaceful Moon Kingdom. And Endymion, he was torn between his love for serenity and his duty to his own rebellious people. He fought fierce.
But he was struck down protecting serenity.
Right before our eyes.
And his death, witnessed by Serenity, was the final devastating blow. The princess, unable to live without her mortal love, took her own life. This wasn't just a romance ending in tragedy. This was the mechanism that annihilated an entire...
It was total devastation. Absolutely. But fundamentally, the sources frame it as an act of transformation, not just destruction. Queen Serenity, using the last of her immense power, sealed the darkness, Metalia and Beryl, and then sent the souls of Endymion, Serenity, and the four inner guardians to be reborn on Earth in a future less dangerous age.
A cosmic reset button.
A cosmic reset button bought at the highest possible price.
This cyclical tragedy feels like a metaphor that demands exploration. If Endymion's past life is the yearning of the Earth's mortal desire to touch the heavens, that eternal connection, what does his continual rebirth represent for us, for the listener?
I think it represents the endurance of the soul's purpose. Their love, though it was violently cut short, was not defeated. It was put on pause, transformed by divine intervention, and then reborn again and again. It teaches us that the highest form of love is the one that accepts separation, trusting that the cosmic pattern will eventually bring the souls back into alignment.
So it's about faith in the cycle.
It is. Their story is the ultimate proof that the most ancient and powerful energy in existence is the quiet endurance of love across countless lives.
And that very idea of waiting, of love hiding in the quiet corners of time, sets the stage perfectly for the modern Mamoru, a man who is just completely defined by loss. The trauma of the past wasn't magically erased upon reincarnation. Let's dive into Section 4, the fragmented psyche trauma and the mask.
The modern story of Mamoru Chiba begins, starkly, with absence. When he was very young, he was in a devastating car accident that claimed both of his parents. But crucially, this accident also triggered total amnesia. It stripped him of his personal memories, his identity, everything.
Unlike Usagi, who was raised in this warm, functional, loving family, Mamoru grew up ice. Profound loneliness becomes the defining feature of his character. The sources show him cultivating a reserved, almost abrasive exterior and a sharp intellect as a way to cope with.
His aloofness isn't cruelty, it's a profound defense mechanism. He is a wounded child who learned to build emotional walls against a world that had taken everything, his parents, his past, and his very sense of self. The trauma created a vacuum, a void, just waiting to be filled.
And it was into this emotional and psychological emptiness that the powerful, desperate spirit of Endymion, the lost prince seeking his moon, began to stir.
Exactly. The amnesia didn't just erase his modern memory. It constituted what you could call a spiritual amnesia. It was a separation from his divine origin, princely purpose. And in the vacuum of his personal history, his cosmic destiny rushed in to fill the space.
And it's from this turmoil that the persona of Tuxedo Mask was. This persona is a direct subconscious projection of the self, trying desperately to remember who he was before the Great Fall, before the forgetting.
The identity crisis he faces mirrors the universal human journey, doesn't it? He's seeking the missing pieces of himself. And what's fascinating is how his multiple selves, you have Endymion, the past self, Mamoru, the struggling present self, and Tuxedo Mask, the ideal composed hero, they represent this constant internal dialogue.
It's an argument happening inside his own head.
It is. He is living proof that identity is a negotiation between who you were, who you are, and who you aspire to be.
And the only way that forgotten eternity breaks through is through his subconscious. His dreams and his visions of the Silver Princess, of profound loss, of urgent danger, these are the repressed memories fighting their way to the surface to awaken his soul.
The battlefield of his mind is critical. He doesn't just spontaneously decide to become Tuxedo Mask. He feels this uncontrollable urge to protect the Moon Princess, an urge that stems from a void he can't explain. The Tuxedo Mask persona is, in essence, a psychological defense mechanism. It gives structure and purpose to these confusing, powerful impulses he feels.
So, the mask is literally both protection and prison. It hides his inner pain and uncertainty, allowing him to be brave and composed and control on the outside.
But it also keeps him distant. It keeps him distant from the very bonds he needs to heal, contrasting so sharply with the lost and uncertain boy that's hiding underneath the top hat.
It is the transitional self. It's the bridge between the lost prince and he wanders perpetually between worlds, perpetually seeking the light of serenity to remind him of his forgotten. His identity issues are a metaphor for the soul learning to synthesize trauma and...
It's a painful but necessary process of becoming.
Now, if Tuxedo Mask is the controlled, restrained, and sort of earthly aspect of his transitional self, that leads us to the surprising, almost ethereal emergence of his second alter, Section 5, the transitional self, the moon.
This is a moment of profound psychological and spiritual interest in the story. The Moonlight Knight appears in Sailor Moon R when Mamoru, after being revived from the Dark Kingdom events, temporarily loses his memories again.
Right. His system is just so overloaded by destiny and trauma that it resets. It deletes the memory of his duty to Usagi.
He can't handle it. But the duty, the love, and the will to protect were so powerful that they couldn't be extinguished even by total amnesia.
The soul remembers what the mind forgets.
Exactly. The Knight is a textbook example of psychological dissociation. It's a state where the mind separates a part of itself to cope with unbearable stress or trauma. In this case, the love and duty, the purest spiritual essence of Mamoru, it broke away and manifested as a separate entity, the Moonlight Knight, to continue its mission to protect Usagi even when the conscious Mamoru failed to remember her.
So the conscious self could not bear the emotional load, and the subconscious created a spiritual fragment to carry the torch. And this fragment appears in such stark visual contrast to Tuxedo Mask.
The symbolic shift is undeniable. It's so deliberate. Tuxedo Mask wears black mystery, restraint, the earthly nature of his protective instinct. The Moonlight Knight is dressed in these flowing white Arabian robes. White reflects purity, clarity, and spiritual devotion, and it's stripped entirely of any earthly ego or restraint.
He is the higher self, a pure projection of protective love, totally detached from Mamoru's human insecurities and his trauma. He emerges from the realm of dreams and operates purely on spiritual.
And he emphasizes that love is a force so powerful, it transcends the mind's forgetfulness. Even when the physical waking body and the memory fail, the soul remembers and continues its primary objective, which is the protection of serenity. This is the enduring devotion of the Endymion myth made manifest.
If we look at this as a kind of alchemy of the fractured self, Mamoru's identity issues are less a flaw and more a necessary journey. He continually has to rediscover wholeness by facing and then integrating these various fragmented selves.
His existence teaches a core philosophical lesson. Trauma and loss are not endpoints. They are catalysts for awakening. He had to lose his memory twice and split his spirit once to prove that his fundamental connection to Usagi was not based on circumstance or conscious choice, but on the enduring blueprint of his soul.
So the ultimate takeaway from the Moonlight Night is that the purest part of you, the part that loves and serves, will always find a way to manifest, even if the conscious mind has closed down shop.
It's a profound commentary on spiritual resilience. He is the man who finds wholeness by embracing the fragmentation, proving that loss becomes remembrance when it's anchored by an eternal purpose.
Now that we understand the depth of his internal identity and his connection to the Earth's spiritual core, we have to address his actions on the battle. This is Section 6, the quiet power symbolism of Tuxedo Mask's ability.
And if the Sailor Guardians wield power that is loud, cosmic, and destructive, Mamoru's power is quiet, deliberate, and deeply symbolic. His function is rarely to overpower the enemy in a brute force conflict. It is to intervene at the perfect psychological and physical moment to shift the course of the battle.
He guides and anchors, he does not dominate.
Exactly. His strength is in presence, in providing the emotional stability that the Guardian, especially Sailor Moon, to unlock their own greater power. And nothing encapsulates this subtle strength more perfectly than his signature move, the rose throw.
The single crimson rose, hurled with impossible precision.
It embodies beauty wrapped in unyielding resilience. The bloom symbolizes hope, love, and the spiritual health he represents, while the sharp thorns are the warning. They represent the price of devotion, the pain that accompanies the willingness to protect.
But what is the philosophical action of the rose? Rarely a killing blow. It seems primarily designed to interrupt a destructive pattern rather than to destroy the enemy outright.
That is the essential difference. The rose is a protective gesture that forces a pause. It mirrors his inner nature, which is to awaken strength in others. The timing of the intervention, that fraction of a second when Sailor Moon is about to fail, is critical. His presence and the rose are an act of healing and restoration, providing a moment of clarity so the true agent of justice, Sailor Moon, can regain her balance and finish the fight.
It's the ultimate example of supporting from the shadows. He takes the risk, he throws the symbol of hope, and then he steps back to allow the light to shine.
And if we look at his most potent named attack in the sources, the Tuxedo La Smoking Bomber, we see the culmination of his hidden strength. It's a reserved power, a focused burst of energy that's derived directly from the golden crystal.
The name itself evokes mystery and transformation. That smoking element suggests something powerful and illusory. It's not a planetary supernova, it's a deeply reserved, focused strike.
It symbolizes his deep hidden potential. It's the Earth's inner reserve of strength, subtly veiled, and it's only brought forth when absolutely necessary to counter a major threat. It emphasizes that those who walk beside the center stage also possess immense, if restrained, power.
Beyond his physical attacks, we have his psychic and intuitive gift-sensing danger, communicating through dreams, having foresight of calamity. How does this psychic sensitivity define his role?
These gifts root him squarely in empathy. He's an antenna for the Earth's needs and for the unseen spiritual currents of the cosmos. He doesn't need aggression. He needs to be attuned. This emotional awareness makes him an anchor that understands the chaos without being consumed by it. He provides the rational, grounded support that's based on prophetic insight.
And crucially, we must discuss his powers. The sources describe him restoring strength through energy transfer, through golden light, and often doing so at his own expense.
This is where he fully embodies the archetype of the wounded healer. Because he suffered such profound loss of his parents, his memory, his sense of self, he possesses a deep, intuitive knowledge of how to mend what is broken in others. His healing energy is gentle, it's sustaining, and it's drawn directly from the Earth's vital essence that he carries within his own heart.
His life suggests that real power is not found in the capacity for destruction, but in the capacity for restoration. He doesn't just patch people up, he renews their inner fighting spirit.
And finally, look at the symbolism of his staff, or his cane. It's utilized both as a weapon and as a symbol of guidance and authority. Unlike a sword, which represents conquest and cutting ties, the cane stabilizes. It is a tool of balance, suited for a gentle protector whose goal is to guide others to stand on their own strength, not to conquer.
Wow. When you compile all these abilities, the rose of hope, the smoking bomber of hidden potential, the psychic empathy, and the stabilizing cane, you have a portrait of a warrior who is defined by balance, belief, and the courage to protect rather than dominate.
His power is moral and spiritual, designed to support the emotional framework of the universe, allowing the moon and the planets to realize their full potential.
This entire complex journey, from amnesia and isolation to spiritual resilience and quiet power, it all culminates in the ultimate real. Let's move to Section 7, the final integration.
King Endymion is not just a future version of Mamoru Chiba. He is the fully realized soul, the culmination of millennia of struggle and destiny. He is the guardian king of Earth and the ruler of Crystal Tokyo in the 30th century, reigning alongside Neo-Queen Serenity.
The key word, as you mentioned earlier, is integration. What does this integration look like, and how has he transcended the trauma that so defined?
Integration is the unification of all his former self. The idealistic Prince Endymion, troubled human Mamoru, the conflicted hero Tuxedo Mask, and the pure spirit of the Moonlight Knight. All these fragments have merged without conflict. The mask has been shed, not because the threats are gone, but because the internal need for concealment has vanished. Uncertainty is transformed into serenity.
His appearance reflects this philosophical concept of the higher self. He's cloaked in royal violet, radiating an aura of calm, reasoned power.
The higher self is the soul transcending the ego, transcending time, and transcending suffering. King Endymion stands as a beacon of attained potential. When the younger Mamoru meets his future self, it is the ultimate affirmation. He is looking at what he can become if he learns to live from purpose and love, rather than from fear and doubt.
So this integration means he has achieved self-actualization. He has harmonized all the contradictions within himself, the mortal desire versus the eternal duty, the intellectual aloofness versus the emotional vulnerability.
And his reign with Neo-Queen Serenity is the final cosmic statement of harmony. They embody the ultimate balance, earth and moon, masculine and feminine, intellect and emotion. Their sacred partnership sustains the world's balance, accumulating everything their younger, warring selves struggle to achieve. They rule through enlightenment, not conquest.
It's so important to remember that this peace was purchased at a high price. He achieved maturity and peace, not by ignoring his pain, but by accepting every version of it.
That is the core wisdom. He was haunted by loneliness and loss, but King Endymion transformed those wounds into wisdom. The lost boy, the hero, the dreaming prince, they all contribute to the king's authority. True strength, as he demonstrates, is not loud. It radiates quietly, rooted in the clear purpose derived from accepting every single step of the journey.
Ultimately, King Endymion proves that love matures into devotion and strength evolves into quiet guidance. He is the guardian of the man who finally remembers and embraces the still point at the center of all cosmic motion.
His arc shows us that the journey from separation to wholeness is the sacred human path. He was the shadow who studied the light, learning to protect through intuition, presence, and this unwavering devotion.
His life story is a stunning depiction of eternal. It's a vow kept across centuries, demonstrating that love is a continuum that turns tragedy into rebirth and shadow, and his presence grounds the spectacular celestial world, sailor guard, constant supportive warmth.
He is the enduring example that true spiritual authority is achieved when you have reconciled with your deepest self and you choose to serve others from a place of radical inner.
And that leads us to the final provocative thought for you to mull over. Mamoru Chiba didn't become King Endymion by finally being powerful enough to fight the monster. He became king by integrating his trauma and learning how to protect through restoration and belief.
So, if his core strength is not born from domination or destruction, but from the belief that empowers others, what part of your own life are you currently spending trying to conquer a situation when you should instead be focusing on restoring and uplifting the strength that is already there?